Good afternoon, everyone. This is Caleb with Stain and Seal Experts, doing a live show today with Al Martins from over at Fence Armor. And while he's in the backstage getting ready, we're going to just sit here and talk to you guys for a couple minutes, give you some updates on what's going on here at Stain and Seal Experts, or Expert Stain and Seal, as you see our logo is changing. So it's trade show season for us. We're getting ready for all the shows. And we've got some training classes coming up, and then we've got expos and things like that to go and do over the next month or so. And so we'll talk to you about those and give you some links to click if you want to sign up for some of those free events. And so if you're watching today, please drop your name and your location, your profession, whatever you want to tell us about you in the comments. If you're on Facebook, if you don't mind, please write your name on there, because Facebook has privacy settings. We can't see who we're talking to. So if we know you and you're on Facebook, please drop your name in there. So I'm going to get started with, let me pull a calendar out here so I can see the shows that are coming up. The first show we have kicking off next Monday is the North American Fence Contractors Association show, and that's in Sebring, Florida. It's the 7th, 8th, 9th, maybe the 10th as well. I'm not sure. But we're going to be there on Monday teaching some fence staining business. Sean King, Mr. Fence, will be there, and a lot of great folks from around the country will be there. It's really an underrated, that's up and coming. I think it's been around for a long time, but I'm going to say it's up and coming because it's really starting to get traction. Fence Contractors Group, and that's North American Fence Contractors Association, NAFA. So check that out. The 8th, 9th, 10th, we're going to be in Orlando at the International Builders Show. So if you're at that show, it's one of the biggest shows in the country. Come check us out. The 9th, 10th, and 11th, same week, we're going to be in Houston, Texas at the Washmart Power Washing event, teaching wood restoration, wood staining, deck staining, fence staining, and the Staining 101, how to, all the business, the numbers, how to figure out all your costs and things like that and have a successful professional wood care business. The 16th, 17th, and 18th, which is a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we're going to be in the Big Easy, New Orleans. That's Fence Tech, and we hope to see you there. We're in booth number 335. Check out page number 40 in the Fence News magazine to see our advertisement and with our booth number. And then, obviously, Staining University's last at the end of the month, 24th, 25th, and 26th, and that's in Nashville. That's the free event. If you go to staininguniversity.com, you will find a link there that you can sign up, a sign-up link right there. It's a free event, and it is definitely something you should consider going to. Probably around 500 contractors will be there discussing all the things that we do: fence staining, deck staining, wood cleaning, wood sealing, all the chemicals, all the processes, marketing your business, you name it. So I've done my housekeeping there. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Al Martins from Fence Armor. You guys see him in the Fence News magazine. You see him all over social media. Fence Armor is probably one of the coolest products in the market, and it's one of the biggest upsells and value add products the staining and fence contractor has. So welcome him, everybody. Welcome Al to the show. Al, what's happening?
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
You sound lovely. How are you today?
Coming in 10 by 10. Yeah, I'm doing great. It's nice to be here. Thank you, Caleb, for the opportunity to visit again. It's always a challenge. As you say, each day is a busy day. And then you get to the end of the day and you got to go lock the doors and make sure everybody's out. And it's Eastern Standard Time here, so everybody's rushing out the door.
Yeah, we're almost done. We start early, so we still got some folks here in the office, but most of the operations have gone home, so it's a little quieter here. So tell us, I think, why don't you just give a proper introduction, Al? Why don't you tell us about Fence Armor and how it got started, and then we'll talk about business. So tell us about Fence Armor, because that's not this is sort of a new thing. You've not been a Fence Armor guy your whole life, right? So tell us how that whole thing began.
Well, I've worn a few hats over the years. Certainly, I'm a machinist by trade, and that's where my beginning was. My dad was a tool maker, then mechanical engineering at Davis University, recognized for that there. So yeah, my world was more manufacturing and engineering when I started out. Um, so the fence armor side of things, basically, were around 2008, 2009, came out of necessity. So your world, in staining and so forth, you see a lot of fences, and you'll see at the bottom of the fences, most of them are pretty marred up by the lawn equipment that's being used by the industry. So inherently, people have just gotten used to it. But I hired 3 different landscapers, and each of these landscapers kept on with the same profile.
Mm-hmm.
They'd drive up to my house, jump out of their vehicles, and vandalize my home. In the meantime, they cut the lawn. But before they left, they made sure to leave their mark on places I wasn't appreciating very much. And that was certainly at the bottom of my fences. It drove me crazy. And each of them had their excuse. Well, it's a new guy, he doesn't know what he's doing. And I said, well, put the right guy on it. But it didn't matter what guy. If you want the grass trim up against the post, it's going to get damaged.
Mm-hmm.
So they said there was nothing they could do about it, and so that's where we went to town and started looking at really
Okay. All
what we
right,
could
Zach,
do.
I gotta head out of here, so I will.
Yeah, that out of necessity, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, so you developed this product because guys were damaging the bottom of your fence post. Obviously, we used to always say to do it right, you have to damage the fence post to do the job the right way. So, I've seen over the years lots and lots of people who attempted to do what you've done, but never did it right. And so Fence Armor seems to really have got it right the first time. So pretty impressive.
Well, we the satisfaction comes when on all our platforms we sell our product everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and the reviews we're getting. People come back, people buy it again, people buy it more than once, right? That's always the best testimonial, is when you've got customers who go back to Home Depot or go back to Lowe's or go to Amazon or wherever they're buying it from, or come back to our own stores. They come back because they like the product. It's well built. It's American. It's really American. It's not just an American patent. We use U.S. steel, and we stamp them here in Canada or in the States, or we powder coat them. These are important things to us as company owners when we're looking at supply chains and we want to improve a supply chain. Well, the best way to improve your supply chain is keep it close. We don't send things off to China so we can make some more profits, and we could make substantially more profit, but we lose control and we lose quality, and we expand our supply chain, which then speaks to the ecology, because if you are sending things by boat, by plane, by other methods to come right back where you started from, there's no logic in that. So that whole idea behind our product being local and providing jobs to the local economies, and speaking to the situation where we're talking about our carbon footprint, it keeps it very small while we're still benefiting our neighbors.
Right. I think that was one of the first things I remember when we first met was it's a product that you think so much about that you're doing it locally. You're sourcing these things American. You want to have control and put out a good product. And I think engineers are notorious for that. They do want to put out a fantastic product at a very reasonable price. So that's why we like it. But anyways, man. So starting from day one to where you are now, tell us about the growth that you guys have seen, and who seems to be your number one customer, because I want to paint the picture of what the opportunity is for guys listening, because as you know, we're a dealer for Fence Armor. We keep it on our shelves. We put it on not every job, but we do put it on jobs, and we do have guys locally here in our market that uses Fence Armor that that are stain contractors or fence builders.
Right.
So tell us how your market's grown and where you're seeing the most growth and what you foresee the future of Fence Armor being, and kind of what your projections are telling you.
Well, yeah, we've grown as a company. A lot of situations when you're starting out, you'll hear about box stores and the rest of it. They're not really interested in one SKU. They're not. And as we've been developing, of course, we have about 113 SKUs. So there's a lot of range in the product, because, as you know, not a fence is not a fence is not a fence. There's a lot of different styles of fences.
Mm-hmm.
There is one kind of landscaper and one type of landscape equipment. They're all the same. That's the baseline. And the way they work is all the same. That's the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
Who hires the largest number of landscapers? I would say by volume, the largest number of landscapers that are hired by HOAs.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in an HOA, you've got a landscape company somewhere on your premises, if not once a week, twice a week, all the time, making sure the property looks great. That being the case, then our biggest customer base is, by volume, our HOAs. We don't have to sell it to them. They love the product. As soon as they understand that there's a solution, they get it. And they say, wow, where has this been hiding?
Let's stop right there and dissect that for a minute, because that's an important detail. Who are HOAs made up of? They're made up of homeowners, people who have to pay for their fence. But so I think that's the thing, is people, when they look at a fence in their backyard, they look at it as just a fence. But when they start doing it for a business and they look at the numbers and they go, oh, it actually makes sense to put this on my fence, it's going to save money. When it becomes part of your job, it's a no-brainer. And so what do you think that is there a disconnect? Are you getting traction to move over from the business-minded HOA who has to maintain the fence so they don't have to replace it sooner? Are you getting some traction going from that market into the average homeowner wanting or needing this product? Or do you think it's just that maybe they don't know about it? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think to your point, dissecting the Homeowners Association or the Condo Association or the strata, depends on what part of the world you're in. The principles are the same. You've signed on to belong to a community, and there are certain guidelines so that the properties all look good. No point to move into a neighborhood and one house is a shaggy mess and the other one is, you get the idea. That's why people get into homeowners associations. Now, why do they need fence armor, or why do they see the advantage of it? And again, that's multifaceted. One of the reasons is just the pure litigical reasons. There are scenarios where if a fence falls down and a property is then vandalized because the fence failed, then the association can be sued for that. Mm-hmm. So if your fence is protected and doesn't get damaged by lawn equipment and other things, it's going to last longer. So keeping the fences in good repair it's just goodness. Because the stronger they are, the more chances that they have to survive an attack by some type of event or someone else trying to break into somebody's property. So that just makes good business sense. The other thing is just the curb appeal. You're buying into a homeowners association because you love the community. And if you have that community starting to get haggard over a few years because the fences are looking pretty beat up, then it starts to diminish the whole curb appeal of the neighbors, right? Mm-hmm. So we get calls from people standing out the window. They're on a call saying, they're doing it to my fence right now. We need your product. And I'm watching them. They're doing it right now. Literally, this is the people on the phone watching the landscapers hammer their fences or their mailbox post or their gazebo or they're landing, whatever the case might be. So that is the other part of it. So you've got the fences have to be strong so we can keep liabilities down. The fences have to look good, because obviously the better the fences look, the better the properties look. And the curb appeal is a piece of that. So fence armor is not just a piece of galvanized steel. It's art. We have corner radiuses on those parts. They function in such a way that they can expand and contract based on the temperature of the vinyl or the humidity of the wood. They don't pull on the fasteners that are connected there. And immediately, if you have a haggard fence, and now you've stained it, for instance, and you put fence armor on it, you're no longer going to ever have to worry about weed whacker damage again, or lawnmower destroying the bottom of those posts.
I love it. And you touched on some of the details of some of the, and I got a piece right here. This is my favorite right here. This, you call it redwood, but I call it pecan because it matches our pecan stain.
Right.
You've got the hole in one side so you can attach it, and then you've got this one here so that during the expansion and contraction, things will slip and, it will expand and contract and move with the wood. Can you talk about a brief, you don't even have to talk about it because you're very humble, but you've worked on jets, you've worked on things for the space program. You're not just an average engineer. So I want to make sure everybody listening knows that this is, I would say you're up there. I'm not going to say you're Elon Musk. But you're in that same league of quality type of a product. You're not going to put out a product that's not all the way thought through. So it looks to me like there's nothing you could have done to make it better.
Well, that's a pretty, large statement, but
within reason, I believe.
Louise and I, my business partner, you've met Louise. We've always focused on quality, and we've always focused on looking down the road, how long a product will last. The reason why we pick galvanized steel in its properties are for the very fact of its sustainability. Steel is sustainable. Steel can be recycled over and over and over and over again forever. It's a product that is strong enough to resist the damage that a weed whacker will give it. A weed whacker is extraordinarily strong. We've got filaments that are over 100 thou in diameter, and they're spinning at over 7,500 RPM. You don't want to put your hand at the bottom of that weed whacker. It will destroy your hand if it doesn't take off a finger. So your posts don't have a chance. It's impossible. They will get damaged. It's not we have to be careful. You will damage the wood. It's impossible. So steel can resist that. And then the powder coating that we use is a polyester-based American powder coat, which is able to handle the deflection of the filament across it without destroying it. There are plastic things out there. Plastic will always fail, and it's ugly. And plastic isn't as sustainable as steel is. In fact, we probably our second most popular product protects vinyl fences, which are plastic. So if you have plastic on top of plastic, how does that make any sense?
Right.
So, and aluminum flashing, it's a comedy, right? You see it everywhere. It's mind-boggling to me. I get it, because it wasn't thought out. A landscaper will go to the hardware store and get some aluminum flashing and use a nail and hammer it at the bottom. And if all you have to do is just a few weeks in, you'll see the weed whacker has completely distorted the aluminum. It's all bent out of shape. It's all shredded. And you get people complaining that their dogs get cut on it. People's pants get stuck on it.
It frays. We had a big fence in Franklin down the road. We paint every 4 or 5 years, and they've got aluminum flashing on the bottom, and it's shredded every time, and it looks terrible.
it won't do it. Aluminum just will not do it. To have aluminum work on it, aluminum would have to be almost 1/8 of an inch thick, which is a complete waste of aluminum in an application like that. It's not logical. And then you take the properties of being able to overlap the product with rectangular lumber. You'd be surprised how many posts are not square.
Yep.
And I'm talking about posts that advertise themselves to be square that aren't square.
Yeah, we have the same issue with you. And then there's rounded corners versus square corners. There's so many things. What do you think are the top 3? So HOAs are your number one. So I want to show again the opportunity to folks listening. What do you think are the top? I don't want to give a number, but the top 2, 3, 4, 5 industries. So is it fence builders? Is it landscapers? Is it stain contractors? Who do you think, aside from do-it-yourselfers? No, I'll let you put do-it-yourselfers. I'll let you rank that. But aside from HOAs, who do you think is your biggest person who buys the most product? I'm just trying to paint the picture of who is using this product, and then who should be using it.
Well, I guess in rank, and the rank would be on number of units sold volumetrically as opposed to number of unique purchases. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So volumetrically, I would say the HOA or corporate buyer is our largest volume purchase. So when they buy, they're buying 500, they're buying 1,000, they're buying 2,000, they're buying some large quantity of fence armor for their application. The next would be the fence contractor.
Okay.
So the fence contractor gets it. They not all of them, but certainly many of them have an opportunity to, even if they are not convinced or don't want to add that extra burden to install them, even though it takes only a couple of minutes to install them, they may not want that job. But if they present that to a customer, the customer then has an elevated look at the fence contractor. Because now this fence contractor is providing some information and insight on a situation that most homeowners are aware of, but didn't think there was an actual solution. Now, you would think it would be the landscaper as opposed to the fencer. And it's interesting because the fencer is the builder, and he's proud of his project, so he offers the fence armor. The landscaper, for lack of a better name, and no, nothing personal, guys, the landscaper is the villain. He's the guy who comes out afterward with the equipment to make the property look great, but collateral damage happens. And collateral damage may be the fence. It might be the gazebo. It might be the vinyl siding on the side of their home. It'll definitely be the mailbox. All of those things will see the blunt force trauma of the equipment that comes around them. And you would think, would be the first ones to say, hey, Mr. Customer, this is going to happen. We've got a product to prevent that from happening. And I hope over time that group of individuals or businesses will jump on and say, yeah, we've got a product. And if the customer says, no, I'm not interested, well, then they can destroy as much as they want. They've been indemnified, right?
Yeah. So I think the problem you're facing is the landscaper has to admit that he's damaging property. He has to admit he's doing something wrong. So I've got a crazy idea for you. What is the number one thing for landscapers? They are guys who do lawn care. They want to get in and out, right? Because they have 35 lawns to do today. We should do a YouTube video showing how long it takes to mow an average lawn with a professional crew, and then how long it takes to install fence armor, and see if you can't install the fence armor twice as fast as they can mow the yard. Because we've put it in on a 250 or maybe a 300-foot fence not long ago, and it was a 15-minute job. it was so fast. I come from the fence business, so we would lay our fittings out. So one man walked around and he dropped one by each fence post, and the next guy came behind and buzzed one screw into every one. And for privacy fence, it only takes one screw if there's only one side of the post exposed. So I think that's a huge thing that landscapers are missing. Fence guys are missing this. Landscapers are missing it, and same with stain contractors. There's nothing worse than you stain a fence and then you come back a week later to do the neighbor's fence and you realize the one you just did, the bottom of the fence post, is already damaged, because actually reflects poorly on me, because they feel that maybe we put an inferior stain on a fence, or maybe we didn't put enough stain at the bottom of the fence. So if we can protect that with something that matches, I mean, I didn't plan on this, but here's a stained board. I mean, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
Here's an old cedar tone board. I mean, it's pretty darn close, guys. So I would challenge everybody to check it out. I got a question for you though, Al. We've got a guy, he follows our page. We see him a lot. He's in Tennessee. He's got a question. It says, this is Truth Seeker on YouTube. He says, I have an HOA looking for a solution. Do you make a 6-inch piece for the trim board on a 4-rail fence? The fence is 3 miles long. So 2,000, 2,100 fence post or cover boards. You know what the cover board is, don't you? It's a 1x6x6 cover.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have, and you spoke about that earlier.
This is a 6-inch piece here.
This is,
he's got it. I guarantee you he's got something to fit.
now those cover boards, this is a demi. So the demi is, narrow.
In Tennessee language, it's just a shorty right there. That's one that doesn't go all the way down.
I thought that was a beer reference.
Yeah.
But, anyway, this is a demi.
So you can show the difference between mine and yours here. So mine's for a full post, and you've got one that these ears are shorter, so it could be used on the cover board.
It's a shallow depth, right? So we can use these for a couple of different things. One is we use the demis for corners.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get in a corner 2-sided or 3-sided.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, in this application that this gentleman is speaking about, this would cover it. Now, 6 inches high, we make them in 6 inches high, but we do that as a custom order. So typically 3 inches is enough, but if it isn't, then we do have a 6-inch version, or you could even stack them if you wanted to have them stacked. So typically, I think what maybe he's writing, do you make a 6-inch? So those
I think he means 6-inch wide is what he's talking about, because that cover board's a 6-inch and it's probably a full cut 6-inch. So it's probably real close to being right on the money.
Yeah. So you'd put that an inch above the ground, and now that presents the center line of the weed whacker.
Yep. So a lot of times we would see, if this was the fence post, that cover board would be on the front and it would be sticking out slightly away from the fence. You got your 4 rails and this sticks out. And so that demi could go, everything's backwards on the screen, could go right over that cover board.
Yeah. The demi will go.
That's exactly what I would use. And I'm guessing he says it's, so I asked him, where's it located? And he said it's in Franklin, Tennessee, which is right in our backyard. It's probably a black fence. So yes, it comes in black if you want it in black.
Comes in black, and I think he's wrote 6 inches wide. So we have both 5.5 and we have 6. So there is no issue with that. We have them both, and they look great. And certainly we have it in black.
Yeah. So that would be a probably almost. I don't even think you would have to approach them with a sale. I think you just let them know that this product exists and they're going to buy it. HOAs, they want it because there's always that cheap guy on the board of the HOA, and this thing right here saves money. So the cheap guy loves these, where usually the cheap guys, the cheap guy's never your friend if you're a contractor until you walk in with fence armor, and then he's your friend. So this will definitely work. And a shameless plug, Truth Seeker, if you need that fence painted, we could paint that fence for you very quickly and efficiently and do a great job for you if you need that done.
Yeah.
But why don't you come see us? We're right down the road from each other. We could meet you somewhere and show you some fence armor. I think that would be a good opportunity there.
So that's the black.
Yeah, there it is in black. Do you make a matte finish black, like a matte black?
We don't officially. The reason we don't is if you have the matte finish on powder is not as resilient to the weed whacker.
Okay.
These are physical properties of the material. So obviously you've got a weed whacker filament hitting on the powder. We want it to last 10, 20 years. If we go flat, the physical properties of the paint will not survive that situation.
Okay. Well, and then the next question I'm sure is going to come up is, can you stain over it or paint over it? And you could paint over it, or you could remove it and paint and then reapply it, and then stain. You could stain right over it as well, and the stain would wipe right off. So,
well, exactly. You could certainly do that, or like you said, you can take it off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one. In this case, in this gentleman's case, it's just one fastener on the face, and even our fasteners are American made and they're powder coated. So the head of the screw would be actually black or white or whatever the color is that you've got. So it'd be, if you were staining, I would take the few moments to pull it off and then stain it and put it right back on. It's kind of like painting on your wall, right? You can paint around the light receptacle, but it's probably better if you just took it off.
Yep. No, I agree 100%. So come see us or reach out to Al. I don't know. We can, all of Al's links are going to be in the bottom.
Well, if you're in Tennessee, Truth Seeker, Caleb's our guy.
Come see us.
Get him. But you certainly can ask us questions and other things. We'll be pointing at him anyway. And he will give you bulk discounts. The pricing, one of the great advantages of working with our distributors is, they have such a significant discount that they can work with you on big projects, and then they can come to us. If Caleb came to me and said, well, this is whatever, 6,000 posts or 2,000 posts or whatever the case might be, we'll work with him to work with you.
Yeah, we can actually get it to you cheaper than you can find it online anywhere, and you can install it probably for less than what your customer can see it online and still make a great margin on it. So it's a good deal. So you talked about dealers and distributors. So when people are watching this, where do you need a dealer right now? Where are you looking for a distributor? Where are your eyes fixed on the map?
Well, it's always we're looking for distributors everywhere, really. We have some states that we've already got people in, so but we've got most states that we don't. So it is a unique product line. So we have to find the right partner as well, because we've got to deal with them, and finding the right partner, because we get a lot of applications, but I would say on average we probably only entertain less than 1% of the people that call in.
Right. So what's your ideal dealer or distributor look like? Do they own a fence supply house, or are they a hardware store?
Well, I think the first thing is we got to get along. I think it's very important that we see eye to eye on business, and they have the same reflection on business, and that's hugely important to us as a company. We want to make sure that the principles are the same. If you're going to represent Fence Armor, then you've got to represent it well, and that means respecting the customer, the property, the owners. All of those things are important. So it has to be a reflection on us as part of it.
Right. So the folks at Fence Armor are good people, and they want to do business with good people, which is good because most people are good people. So I don't think you guys are looking for that huge distributor to put your product in 1 billion stores where you lose control of it and all of those things. I think it sounds like you're trying to do this. I don't want to say the old-fashioned way, but more of a grassroots kind of a thing, and get real people to sell your products.
Yeah, and I'm not against the term old-fashioned. I think that term sometimes has a derogatory method or stigma. But I have to say, as I do get older, it's harder to find people that share the same values and principles that we do as businesses. And certainly you and I, Caleb, and I think almost every one of our distributors that we've made an agreement with have actually a handshake on the deal.
Yeah.
I mean, we trust each other, we shake hands, and we do business together. That still exists in my world.
In ours too. And in fact, I think every one of our dealers is very similar. It's a lot of good people left. Just don't see them on the internet all the time.
Well, the world right now is chaotic for sure. But if you can have a handshake deal and there's honor between the two companies, and it's going to go a long way. So it's not just about money. It's certainly about the relationship that we have and the respect they have for our product, because obviously it's a higher end product. And it's easy to sell, but it certainly still requires that you believe in it. So there's a lot of fencers again who because that's a second qualification, right? You have the HOA and then you have the fencer. There's a lot of fencers who sell fence armor on a project. I get fencers who call us and say, you know what? Had I not talked about your product, I wouldn't have got that deal. I had this call from a guy down in Florida not too long ago who called me and thanked me for sending him brochures because he presented it to the HOA, and he was the only fence contractor who presented a solution to a problem they all know about. So he got the deal.
Yeah, I guarantee you got the deal. So why don't I think here's the challenge. So for people to sell this and to get behind the idea, I think the number one thing is they gotta buy it themselves. It's kind of like Zig Ziglar, the cookware guy that couldn't sell the cookware because he had to buy the cookware, right? And then his sales doubled. So if you're interested in this product, I would challenge you, if you're listening or watching, if you've got a fence in your backyard or a mailbox post or a slow, please be slow, children are playing sign, or maybe your neighbor has a mailbox that you got to look at, buy a piece of fence armor or buy a set and put it on your fence at home. And once you get it there and you live with it, it's just going to become second nature to you, because you're gonna try to destroy it with a weed eater, and it's gonna break your weed eater because the fence armor is not going to break. And 5 years later, it's still going to look beautiful. And you're going to go, you know what? I think that fence armor is a good idea. So I would challenge you to call Fence Armor and mention this and say, hey, I'm a fence contractor. I'm a stain contractor. I want to put fence armor at my house. I want to see what it's all about. And I think that would be a good place to start. Let's see if we got any more comments here. Lewisburg, Fences in Franklin. Again, Truth Seekers commenting like crazy today. I'm glad he's here. This is my fault, and I take full responsibility for this. He said he only saw the 4-inch on the Stain and Seal app. He's excited. So yeah, we'll take care of that. We'll make sure we check on that. So that's it, man. So talk to us a little bit about, let's switch gears, guys. We'll drop the links for Fence Armor. I believe in it. Al and the whole team at Fence Armor. It's not just Al, it's quite a big team. Great people, good people to do business with. We endorse them. That's why they're here on our show. We love them and endorse them. But let's change gears. You're coming to Tennessee this week and then straight down to Florida, because you are actually the president of the North American Fence Contractors Association. So tell us what you got going on with that.
Thank you, Caleb. Yeah, I appreciate that. The goal is to drive out here. I was going to drive out here on Thursday, but looks like we have some weather coming. Has it gotten to you yet?
We have rain scheduled for tomorrow and the next day, but it's going to be in the 60s, warm temperatures.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be coming up north, and it's not going to stay rain. So at the moment, it looks like Wednesday, Thursday will be about a foot and a half of snow or so. So I think I might be driving out on Friday.
Okay.
Ultimately, my goal is to get to Sebring, Florida, where we have our meeting, and that will be Sunday at 1600 hours. So in theory, I will be dropping past you Friday evening and then continuing down to Florida and getting to our annual meeting. And our annual meeting typically is held in Arlington, Virginia, over when we do the fence project there at the memorial, at the cemetery.
Mhm.
But because of world events lately, we are now going to hold it down at the meeting down in Florida, which coincides with our fence training school. So if you haven't joined up, I'm not sure if there's 2 or 3 spots left, or maybe some spots, but basically all you're paying for is the accommodations. The training is effectively free. So you get 3 nights or 4 nights down there in Florida, where you get hands-on training to work on vinyl fences, ornamental fences, wood fences, chain link fences, all of that. So that is a highlight for NAFCA, and I'm proud to be president with them.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. So I don't know how new you've been president. I think this is fairly new, like maybe last year. What's
Yeah.
your goals for NAFCA? Because we know everybody's heard of AFA, and until I joined NAFCA a couple of years ago, but before that I had never heard of NAFCA, and I grew up in the fence industry. So what are the challenges that you're facing, and how can we help?
Well, I think for any association, it's to provide value to its members. Now, the interesting thing about NAFCA, it's North American Fence Contractors Association. That's what it stands for. So North America would mean, of course, Canada, US, and Mexico. So we strive to work within an organization that will support each of those countries and each of the unique scenarios that exist in them. How is that important? Well, it certainly, we build off each other by each other's experiences. As we know, fencing, sadly, is not an official trade. You can be a carpenter, you can be an electrician, but officially you can't go to trade school to be a fence contractor.
This is true.
And these are problems because we need skilled people. And it's not like you can pick them out of school, because it just isn't. One day, I hope, and that's to your point, what am I trying to do? We're trying to work with governments to try to get them to recognize fencing to be an actual trade. And that is a challenge, but it is something that we're trying to pursue and work with the Canadian, US, and Mexican governments to try to get them to recognize a fence contractor or fencing to be a trade. And if we can do that, it does several things. The first thing it does is allows you to bring over skilled labor from different parts of the world. So if you are short a fence contractor, you can't go to your local government and say, I need to hire 4 guys from Poland, because they'll look at it and say, well, they're not registered as a trade. Fencing is not a trade. You can pick a carpenter, you can pick a plumber, you can pick an electrician, but you can't pick one of those. And it would be nice to be able to have them listed as a trade. And then, of course, be able to have college graduated or high school graduated individuals who have fencing as part of their certifications. So anyway, that is a long-term thing. I've been trying to do that, but that is my main hope, is to get more recognition of the trade into the industry, government, and education.
Well, that seems like a noble cause. I know that's something growing up in the fence business that was a problem. And so it sounds like you guys are doing good work. So I'm excited, proud to be a member. So that's pretty neat, man. That really is. That's something we need. We face the same thing as stain contractors. You know, there is no official trade. So maybe when you guys figure it out, maybe us stainers can follow suit and learn something from what you've learned. So that would be interesting.
Well, let me ask you this: is there recognition in the paint industry? Is painting?
Yeah, a painter. Yes, I believe a painter is an official trade, but not a. We're not painters. We're not fence builders. We're not plumbers. You know, we're kind of in no man's land. So similar, but I think fencing is a bigger trade, and we fall under the painter trade because, for instance, if I needed to hire someone from Australia or New Zealand or Poland, I could probably get a painter to show up over here and do a pretty good job. But for fencers, if you call a painter in or a plumber to do a fencer's job, it is not a skill that is, it's a
Not
much
transferable, right?
well, it's very hard labor too. You have to have hard people to do that. And I think Australia is wide open for folks wanting to come to America, and there are a lot of great fencers in Australia. So if you guys could make that switch, that would be a big deal. That would be.
Well, I think it'll do two things. One, that the first goal is to bring local colleges and trade schools to teach fencing. And if it actually is registered as a trade, then you're going to have more students who are willing to take it. Because now, hey, I'm going to take the trade of being a fence builder. And I'm an official fence building contractor. So that would be great to have under your belt, because a lot of people in the fence industry have that under their belt, but they have to take in courses like they did at NAFA, for instance, or they may have taken a course somewhere else, or they may have just learned on the job from the owners of their company. But it would be interesting to come out of school and say, hey, I just went to this college and I'm now an official fence builder. I'd like to work for you. And
certainly, I can think of only a gazillion fence companies that would love that. It would be huge for our industry.
Yeah, I think it would be huge for the industry, and for the trade in itself. So, yes, as an organization, that is my my hope to be able to do that. And certainly, NAFA has been offering great value to their members over the years. It's $250 a year to be a member, and you're part of a group that is really keen on helping fence companies and others be great at what they do.
Yeah, that is it. So here we got a comment from a Facebook user. I can't see who you are, so thanks for the comment, but it says, yep, staining falls under painting in the same way fencing would fall under construction or building. Interesting, in California, we do have a specialty license for fence building, but stain and maintenance would be separate. So very interesting.
I got to write that down. California, huh?
Yep, I've heard that before too. Yeah, so you're coming to Fence Tech. We know you're doing the NAFA show, and then you're going to go to Fence Tech the following week. You know what your booth number is? Because I know your booth just got recently changed without at the last minute.
Yes, it's booth 701. You can't really miss it. It's as soon as you walk in, we're in with the Mr. Fence with Sean King. I wonder, on this platform, are you allowed to share screens?
Oh yeah, we are. We are booth 335, and now I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance. I am a stain contractor who is trying to do technology. I think, Al, at the bottom of your page, you can see mute, stop cam, cam mic, all those buttons. There's a share button there. I think if you click that button, you can share your screen.
Okay. Okay. What it does is allows me to share a video file. So let me see if.
So while you're looking for that, I'll talk about the booths there. So the booths we're talking about, we're at the Fence Tech Show, which is going to be in New Orleans this year. Al is booth 701. We were going to be neighbors, but they moved you. I think you got a bigger booth. So we both got really big booths this year, the biggest we've ever had. So we're excited. You're booth 701 with Sean King, Mr. Fence, and we are booth 335. Let's see. I got another comment here. It says, we have no license in Wisconsin for fence, but we have to take a class 4 license, which asks questions on home building and other such thing that don't entail to fencing at all. So that's the way it goes. I'm going to add this video that you've dropped in here, Al, and let's see what it looks like. Let's see. I don't know if there's any volume.
No, there's no volume. It's just a rendering we did in KeyShot of the booth. So when you, it's just a bare bones booth concept, but Sean came up with the idea of a pyramid. Yeah, we love the idea. And we decided to create a engineering drawing of it and render it just so you get an idea of what it looks like.
I love it. I wish you would have done my booth. That's awesome. Yeah, it would almost. Is that a piece of fence armor, or is that wooden fencing?
That's wooden fencing. That is 6 feet high, 8 feet across,
Okay.
on 3 panels. So Sean can show up his tools and other things across there. And then, of course, the tools in.
Hey, Bam, come check this out. I want to show it off. Check out Al's booth for fence armor, or fence armor booth for Fence Tech.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, that's a really cool booth.
It is.
well, Sean came up with the idea. We bantered around, we brainstormed some ideas, and the next day he came back, Al, let's do a pyramid. I love that.
it.
So he's off building it right now, and the sign at the top will be 10 feet across each segment. And yeah, when you see it in a rendering, it kind of gives it a little more dimension.
I love it. Absolutely love it, man. That's fantastic. I think that's a good change from the booth you had last year. That's really cool. So I'm excited about that. Our booth is different than we've done in years past. It's bigger, and we're excited. It's not as cool as that, but we still got a nice booth we're proud of. So can't wait to see you guys there at the show. So Al, what's the best way for folks to find out more about fence armor?
Well, I guess they could certainly come to our website and ask us any questions. We have a chat line. We have a phone number. We have actually real humans on this side of the earth taking phone calls. And so we'd love to hear from you. And then we'll point you, if we have a distributor or wholesaler in your area, we'll get you pointed to the right player. So that would be the easiest. And of course, is to just come to our website. We have a YouTube channel. We'd love you to love and subscribe to it. We have a lot of great stain and seal videos on there as well. We love representing Caleb and the Expert Stain and Seal Company. That we have the same line of thought in business, and it's a great product. So they really work well together.
Wonderful. Well, we appreciate the kind words. Here's where I'm going to end with it. So there's a lot of folks watching that use our stain, and I just want everybody to know, because I didn't mention this earlier, Fence Armor, we trust Al so much and his team that they are our entire distribution arm for Canada. They do all the distribution for our stains in Canada, and so and of course you can buy our stain at fencearmor.com. So do business with them. They're good folks. And then here is the specialty license for California there for Al's info. Thanks, Kevin. And
yes, thank you, Kevin. That really that's a great piece of information. And if you have anything else on it, please feel free to share it with me. My email is just al@fencearmor.com. Doesn't get easier. I appreciate that. That's And that information from Wisconsin is also interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. So, yep. So check them out. If you're in Canada, Al is looking for distributors for stain, and if you're in America, Al's looking for distributors for fence armor. So that would work really well, and that would be it. So excited for what's coming up for the next couple of weeks. Last question, I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you coming to fence? I mean, you're going to be here for the fence school. You're going to be here for Fence Tech. One more week. You just stay one more week, and you can come to Staining University.
It is tempting, and I might. I don't know. I don't have that answer for you. I can't.
Yeah.
I may be tempted to just stay down in Florida with my mother. That's also apple pie and great food and 70-degree weather.
And you can be sued for asking someone to wear a mask in Florida. I found out last time I went down there. So
brilliant. I won't be asking anybody.
Yeah, that was we heard Florida was crazy, what the news said, and we went down there and it was just wonderful. So that was interesting. So hopefully, can't wait to be there in a week, next week. So awesome. Well, Al, can't wait to see you. It's been 50 minutes. We'll let these guys go. It's supper time, I would say, or dinner time, wherever you're from. Yep. And I will see you on Friday. Come hungry, and we'll get something to eat, and you can see the stain. I've not seen you since COVID started, so it'd be good to shake your hand again.
Yes, I look forward to it very much. Thank you so much, Caleb, for the opportunity.
All right, guys. Yeah, all the links are down below. Please subscribe to our page and Fence Armor. If you're watching, subscribe and like, and share this with somebody else.
I want to show you this. I'm ready for the snow. I got my raccoon.
There you go.
All set for the 1.5 feet of snow that's coming in the next couple of days.
I love it. Well, you'll be needing it when you come down. We'll see you soon, Al. Have a great day.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.